Hello everyone. Thank you for checking out today's video. I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe. Let's get started. What's the worst case of rich kid syndrome you've seen? One of my college classmates wrecked his Range Rover over winter break and came back in an Aston Martin. In college I wrecked my 1998 Toyota and came back in a 1998 Toyota with the front bumper missing. In middle school we were asked to draw our homes for some assignment and hand it in at the end of class. A popular, extremely wealthy kid that sat behind me raised his hand and smugly asked the teacher for another sheet of paper because he couldn't draw it all on one page. His friends just snickered, but I was cringing. Even at 12 I remember thinking it was such a snobby thing to say. Bragging about your parents' money is honestly just sad. Especially when people are adults and still do it. Cough Trump cough. Worked with this kid who was a good kid, but completely disconnected from financial reality for most people. He'd just moved out west from another state and was trying to get on like a normal adult. He went to buy a new car and was shocked that they couldn't just bill his dad for it since they didn't know him. He ordered a bottle of wine at a restaurant and the sommelier said, "Certainly, sir." Then the sommelier whispered, "Just for your knowledge, sir, the bottle is $700. He looked straight at him and asked, "Is that a lot?" The sommelier honestly didn't know how to answer. Good kid, and he got a lot better, but he just didn't know. Once he casually told his mom he needed some help with bills and she deposited $20,000 into his account. "Hey ma'am, I need a new cell ph $1 million. Got it." My fiance's cousin. He managed to crash 4 cars while still in high school because his father would replace them. When he moved on to college, he got kicked out of several apartments for owning a dog when they weren't permitted. He told me he didn't care though, since his father also funded his continuous stream of new housing. From what I last heard, his father is now paying for his long-standing cocaine habit. His father is a fucking idiot. Should have just gotten an abortion. It would be nice to have a preview of what your kid would turn out to be. He doesn't admit that his son is at fault for anything though. I guess he doesn't want to believe it's true of his only child. I work for a dentist and her son is a spoiled brat. He was at the office one day because she had to bring him to an appointment later that day. He got bored and went out wandering around some of the local shops. He came back a little while later and without any preamble, walked up to her and said, "Give me $80. She asked him what it was for and he just repeated himself and she gave it to him. That's some really bad parenting there. That kid's going to have major issues in life later on with that kind of attitude. My friend literally throws away his change because he hates holding coins. Doesn't matter if it's 99 cents, he'll throw it away. That shit adds up. Like, in the bin? In the trash. Your friend needs a slap. With a coin purse. Knew this one guy at my college who didn't understand why everybody is so worked up about student loans. I remember him saying something along the lines of, "Why don't people just pay the tuition up front?" He was also quite sheltered. "Just stop being poor. Got? Well boys, we did it. Poverty is no more." The Nintendo DS just came out. It was like $150 and my family lived in a cramped 1-bedroom apartment and drove a 20-year-old car that was always breaking down. We ate those cheap bags of Walmart beans and rice for months at one point. I expressed the desire to own one after my friend said he had one, and I got why can't your parents just buy you one? I don't get it, it's dirt cheap. He didn't want to be my friend after that anymore, literally avoided me and made fun of me for the rest of the year behind my back. I'm still salty about it. Maybe not rich kid syndrome, but middle class kid syndrome. Fuck that kid. So my best friend's wife teaches at a ritzy $40,000 per year private school. As in, $40,000 a year for elementary and middle school. I think the HS is like $50,000 plus. Well, she teaches 7th or 8th grade, I can't remember, and she said she always goes around the class after the summer break and asks them what they did over the summer, and she particularly remembers one kid complaining about how much his summer sucked because he was stuck on his parents' yacht all summer and they didn't even take it to anywhere cool, just Italy. My mom's friend used to buy new clothes each season and throw out the old ones. She had to be taught by her husband to save them for the next year. Did she never love a piece? I'd be pissed if I had to discard my favorite shirt. Or I loved this shirt. Too bad it's expired and has to go into the incinerator. I wouldn't say rich kid, but definitely spoiled brat who thought he was rich. Befriended him in 5th grade over our interest in the UGR trading card game. First time I hung out at his place I noticed just how littered with stuff his room was. Some even unopened. I showed him some rare card that I had recently pulled from a pack. He got super jealous and angry that I wouldn't trade or sell it to him. He immediately got up and walked over to the family computer and booted up a site where you could buy cards and various other toys and such. Completely ignoring having me over, he's now on an online shopping spree adding stuff to the cart. After adding a few things he yells, "Where's the credit card?" And immediately his older sister comes running up the stairs to yell, "Kyle, mom said no more buying stuff online." And closes the website and shuts off the computer. Kyle then proceeds to have a crying tantrum on the floor, and I'm just standing there over him in shock at what's happening and how he's acting. I slowly stopped hanging out with him until completely avoiding him as his temperament got worse. Kid wasn't even rich either. If I remember correctly, both of his parents were cops. Did he punch a hole in the drywall in a Monster Energy induced rage? No, but he was definitely the kind of kid to say something like, "I have the power of God and I'm on my side," and then try to go Super Saiyan in public. I worked at a Starbucks and we hired a new guy who I was training. At one point, I had to show him how to clean the restrooms. I grab the bleach and hand him a pair of gloves, and he looks at me in disgust and says, "We don't have a maid to clean the bathrooms." He quit the next day, lol. Bitch, you are the maid, lol. Apparently there was this 15-year-old girl who was going on an exotic vacation to some Pacific island or something. But her favorite show was on TV the day of their flight, and she really wanted to see it. Her parents delayed the flight so that she could watch an episode of her favorite show. Oh my god. I think I'm done reading this thread. This makes me irrationally angry. Babysat some rich kids. A couple gems where, when we were watching a movie and she said someone was ugly because they were poor. Another was that they left their stove at the side of the road for hobos. Kid was about 11. I nanny rich kids and I know exactly what attitude you mean. Mine think that anyone who catches the bus is dangerous and poor and will kidnap them. They mocked a girl who got a scholarship to their expensive school so much that she transferred back to a public school. The mother has me sit in the house doing nothing for up to 8 hours when they have tradespeople in because she's convinced they will steal. The mother also declutters their old crap by dumping it on their cleaning lady because she knows all the refugees in X city and there are people who will really enjoy this stuff. It's a nice idea, but we are talking about old underwear with no elastic, soft toys with giant stains and missing limbs, school bags that are so old the plastic material has hardened and cracked off, and felt pens with no lids that dried out years ago. She just has no concept of what real people's lives are actually like to think that they might want this garbage. Ugh, I work in refugee resettlement, and I honestly see this kind of stuff all the time. People donate stuff that should flat just be thrown in the trash. My rule of thumb is, if you wouldn't give it to a friend or family member, then you probably shouldn't donate it. That affluenza kid killed someone driving drunk and got no jail time. Yes, that fucking affluenza kid. He is the worst. And the affluenza judge that sentenced him to go to a fancy rehab in like Malibu with culinary classes and equine therapy and shit. And his bitch mother that whisked him off to Mexico when he was caught drinking in violation of his probation. That story still angers me to this day. That judge should have had the snot kicked out of him. Then disbarred and banished to the waste. Affluenza kid is obviously a piece of shit, but the judge is the one who let him off. Someone's sister got $600 shoes, so the parents got the other kid shoes of the same price to stop their complaining. Edit. It was a birthday present for the first kid. I should've said that. Holy crap. Somehow this is the one that got me. I mean, this is a common problem for any family. One kid gets one thing and the other sibling throws a tantrum because they also want that thing. Only difference being that it's usually cheap shit instead of $600 shoes. Went on a cruise with a rich friend. Dinner was served as a 3-course menu and you could order as many different courses as you want. Rich friend would order 2 plates of food per course, eat a single bite or 2, and throw away the rest of the food. My family was extremely poor when I was younger, and even though we are much better financially now, we still refuse to throw away even the smallest leftovers. All those plates of food wasted hurt my heart to see. I recently chaperoned a trip to Six Flags Great Adventure for a group of tweens. One girl kept buying food, taking a bite or 2, and throwing it out. My parents were refugees and my mom grew up poor, so we constantly had the don't waste food lecture drilled into us. Here's this girl buying a $9 ice cream cone, taking a few licks, and tossing it out. I nearly cried.